Hello everyone. Thank you for coming back to our channel. In today's episode, the story of Toan, lytudiem, and Tui continues with more intense and emotional developments. Toan, although gradually recovering his memory after losing it, is still facing many challenges. But through all of this, lytudiem remains by his side with love and patience, never giving up. Meanwhile, Toan's sister Tui receives a call from the police informing her that Toan is with lytudiem, and without hesitation, she immediately calls lytudiem. It's been a long time since she last spoke to her brother. And now, after all these months of worry, Tui has decided to meet with Toan. When she sees lytudiem, Tui can't hold back her emotions and rushes over to hug her, a tearful embrace that reveals the deep feelings of a sister for her brother who has lost his memory. The three of them sit together, and in the peaceful atmosphere, Toan slowly begins to remember details from his past relationships that time and memory had stolen from him. But will he be able to remember everything? And what will happen next? How will the family overcome these challenges? Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. We will continue to bring you the thrilling and surprising developments in this story. Stay tuned for the surprises waiting ahead. Now, let's continue following this intense story together. At the police station, Tui was still in shock when she learned that her mother was involved in causing Toan's memory loss. But amidst her worry, she didn't forget to ask about Toan's whereabouts. The police informed her that lytudiem had found him at an old woman's house. Without hesitation, Tui immediately grabbed her phone and called lytudiem, hoping to get some clearer news about Toan. She quickly dialed the number, listening to each ring echoing in her ears, her heart filled with anxiety. At that moment, lytudiem and Toan were sitting together in the cozy house of the old woman. Outside, the soft afternoon sunlight filtered through the window, creating a calm and quiet atmosphere. Toan had started to regain his memory, and though the memories were still vague, he could feel the warmth of the present life. They weren't rushing, savoring each moment together in the small house. Toan looked at lytudiem, his eyes filled with gratitude and joy, because at last he had found a place to start over. Suddenly, lytudiem's phone rang. She looked at the screen and saw Tui's name, Toan's sister. A wave of surprise rose within her. She hadn't expected Tui to reach out after such a long time, especially when no one knew where Toan was. Although she felt a little worried, lytudiem decided to answer, lytudiem gently answering. "Hello, Tui. It's lytudiem. What's going on?" On the other end, Tui's voice sounded tired and anxious, as though she had been waiting for a long time and couldn't control her emotions. Tui. "Hello, lytudiem. Is that really you? Is Toan near you? I miss him so much." Tui tried to keep her voice calm, but the confusion in her heart was hard to hide. She couldn't believe her brother was going through something like this, and now after such a long time without contact, she was finally hearing from lytudiem. Lytudiem sat down, her gaze drifting toward Toan. She knew Tui must be just as worried as she had been when she first found out about his memory loss. But she also understood that Tui shouldn't know too much about what was happening with Toan, at least not right now. She took a deep breath and replied softly, "lytudiem Tui Toan is with me. He's okay and currently staying with an old lady here. Things are gradually getting better, but You can come here and we'll meet." On the other end, Tui stayed silent for a moment, processing the information. She knew she couldn't let things stay so unclear, but after hearing Lytudiem's words, she felt a bit relieved. Tui hesitant. "You said Toan is at the old lady's house, so he's okay, right? I'll come right away. Can you give me directions?" Lytudiem, just keep going straight, and at the end of the road, you'll find the small house. I'm here with Toan, so don't worry. Thui nodded, even though no one could see, and hung up. Lytudiem turned to look at Toan, who had overheard the conversation. Though he couldn't remember everything, he could feel some part of his memory starting to come back. Toan quietly staring into the distance. Is that my sister?" Toan's voice carried a sense of confusion, but Lytudiem smiled and gently patted his shoulder. "Lytudiem, yes, that's your sister. But don't worry too much. Everything will be okay." Even though she was still anxious about what was to come, Lytudiem tried to stay calm, as if wanting to reassure Toan. She knew the meeting between Tui and Toan would bring many emotions, but she couldn't let the secrets of the past make them fearful. She would help him remember bit by bit, even if they had to face difficult times ahead. The narrow path leading to the old woman's house slowly appeared in Tui's view. Each step she took was filled with rising anxiety, but also with determination. She couldn't sit still any longer. Her mother, no matter how many reasons or excuses there were, could never be forgiven for what she had done to hurt Toan. She had to see him to make sure he was okay. As Tui approached the house, she saw Toan and Lytudiem standing there against the backdrop of the warm afternoon sky. Lytudiem seemed to have recognized who had arrived, while Toan stood still, his eyes staring ahead, lost in a haze, not fully aware of what was happening around him. Before she could say anything, Thui rushed forward and hugged Toan tightly, crying uncontrollably. The feelings of longing worry and all the memories buried for so long came rushing back in an overwhelming wave. Toan remained standing there, unable to recognize anything, only knowing that the woman in his arms was someone close, his sister. Thui holding him tightly, crying, "Bro, you're still alive. Are you okay, Toan?" Toan still couldn't remember clearly. He gently pushed Thui away a little, his gaze confused, not understanding what was going on. But he knew that this woman was important to him. "Toan, weakly sister. Who are you? I don't remember. I only know you're my sister." Hearing those words, Thui's heart twisted with pain, but she couldn't blame him. He didn't remember anything about his past, about the family, about everything they had been through together. She looked at him, and all she could do was hold him tightly again. Lytudiem, gently standing beside, observing. He still doesn't remember everything, Thui, but we'll do everything we can to help him. Thui nodded, tears still flowing endlessly. She didn't know what had happened to Toan, but she knew that he needed her, that he needed the family's help to recover. Thui quietly looking at Toan. "You don't remember much, but that's okay. I'll stay here with you, and we'll get through everything together." Lytudiem and Thui looked at each other. These two women, though somewhat unfamiliar with each other, both loved Toan in their own way. In the days ahead, they would never give up on him. Thui sat next to Toan, watching him closely, her hands tightly clenched to control her emotions. Everything was happening so fast, and she hadn't had time to prepare herself for what was unfolding. Questions about their mother, about Toan's past. Everything felt like a thick, impenetrable iceberg that she couldn't deal with just yet. But one thing was clear. Toan didn't remember anything, and she needed to help him get his memory back, even though it would be incredibly hard. "Do you remember anything?" Tui spoke softly, her voice filled with concern. She didn't want to bring up the painful things, but the truth couldn't be avoided. Toan looked at her, his face showing signs of exhaustion. His eyes seemed to be searching for an answer, but he couldn't recall anything from his past. "Sister, who are you?" Toan asked, still confused. He couldn't recognize her, even though he felt like he might remember something. But everything was blurry, just fragments of a past he couldn't piece together. Tui forced a smile, even though her heart was breaking inside. She couldn't blame him. She didn't understand what had happened to Toan or why he had to go through this. "I'm Tui, your sister. I've always been here, always taking care of you. But you don't remember anything, do you?" Toan nodded, his expression one of effort, as if trying to remember everything. But there was nothing, just empty spaces. A headache suddenly hit him, causing him to close his eyes for a moment. Tui watched him, her heart aching, but she tried to stay patient. "You don't need to worry. I'll help you get your memory back, and everything will be okay." Lytudiem, who was standing beside them, looked at Tui and Toan. She understood how hard this was for Tui, because she had felt the same helplessness when she saw Toan unable to recall his memories. Gently, she placed a hand on Tui's shoulder, offering a silent encouragement, a promise that she would always be there helping them face everything together. Lytudiem gently will help him, Tui. He'll remember everything. Tui turned to look at Lytudiem, her eyes filled with trust, but also deep worry. "I just want him to be okay, and I want him to remember everything, so we can go back to how things were." Lytudiem's soft words gave Tui a sense of relief. Even though Toan couldn't remember anything, they could still do everything they could to help him recover. But what worried Tui were the secrets from the past about Toan's mother that she couldn't yet answer. She had to find out what had happened, not just for Toan, but for her family as well. Toan looked up, his eyes meeting Lytudiem and Tui's. "Sister, you and she are my family." Both Lytudiem and Tui looked at each other, then nodded in unison. "Yes, Toan, we're family. We'll get through everything together." The atmosphere in the house became peaceful. Though Toan still couldn't remember everything, he could feel the comfort and determination from both Lytudiem and Tui. Everything seemed to be slowly falling into place. As long as he continued to recover and face his past, things would stabilize. The three of them sat together, not saying anything more. Only the soft light from the oil lamp gently illuminated the space, like a promise that no matter what the past held, they would always be together, starting over. Lytudiem, Tui, and Toan sat in the living room of the old woman's house. The atmosphere in the room was quiet. Only the soft sizzling sound of the oil lamp could be heard, creating a warm feeling in the silence. Everything around them seemed to pause in that moment as three people, each carrying their own emotions, sat facing each other in a simple room. Toan sat between the two most important women in his life. His eyes still seemed unfamiliar, but in those eyes, one could see the search for memories, the longing for a peaceful life that he seemed to have forgotten. Toan, quietly looking ahead. I don't remember how long I've lost my memory. But you're my sister, right? He turned to look at Tui with a wistful gaze, still holding on to something vague in his eyes. He felt the familiarity, but he couldn't recall everything about his family, about his relationship with Tui. Tui gently nodding, trying to hold back her emotions. Yes, it's me, Tui, your sister. We grew up together. I remember the times when we were with each other, happy and peaceful. Tui gently reached out and held Toan's hand, wanting him to feel the bond, the love she had for him, even though he didn't remember anything. Lytudiem softly looking at Toan with affection. You don't have to remember everything right away. The important thing is that we'll get through this together. I'll be by your side, helping you find your memories. She held Toan's hand tightly, feeling the warmth from him, even though he couldn't remember her. Her heart still beat for him. Toan gently eyes, lowered, in a low voice. Do you really want to help me? Toan's question softly echoed in the room, as if he couldn't believe what was happening. He felt like a burden, someone who couldn't remember his own past, and now someone causing his loved ones to worry. Lytudiem, looking directly into Toan's eyes, voice firm. Yes, I want to help you. I don't see you as a burden. You are the one I love, and I'll always be here for you. Lytudiem said these words with unwavering belief. She didn't want Toan to feel like he was a burden to anyone, because in her heart, Toan had always been the most important person. Tui looking at Toan with eyes full of worry and compassion. You know, I've been so worried about you. Since you lost your memory, I didn't know what to do. But now I feel a little better, knowing you're okay. Even though you don't remember anything, we'll get through this together. Tui gently placed her hand on Toan's, hoping he could feel the warmth and love she had for him. Toan, slowly lifting his head, eyes a bit lost. But I don't remember anything. How do you love me? Toan's voice choked up not from pain, but from the confusion and vagueness about a love he couldn't fully comprehend. He felt like he was living in a completely new world, with all his memories erased. Lytudiem smiling softly. I love you, because you are you, Toan. Even if the memories may fade, that love will never change. I'll always be here to help you remember, so we can create new memories. Beautiful moments together. Toan looked into Lytudiem's eyes. Her words made him feel warmth in his heart. Even though he couldn't remember anything from their past, he knew that Lytudiem had a strong belief in him, and that made him feel much more at ease. Tui, looking at Lytudiem with a soft smile. I'll always be here to help you, Toan. No matter what happens, we are family. You will never be alone. The three of them sat there silent for a long while, feeling the peace in the air. Although they knew the journey ahead would be challenging, they had each other, and that was the most important thing. Lytudiem, gently looking at Toan, we'll get through every difficulty together. You will never have to face anything alone. Toan smiling faintly for the first time, feeling peace after so many days. Thank you. Thank you both. And so in that moment, even though many things were still unclear, at least Toan had found a little peace. a little hope in life thanks to the perseverance and love of Lytudiem and Tui. They sat together without saying anything more, simply feeling the warmth and unspoken love from the people they cared about as the evening settled and the soft flicker of the oil lamp illuminated the small room where the three of them sat. The stillness of the moment was only broken by the occasional sound of the lamp's wick crackling, but in that peaceful silence, something unspoken connected the three of them. They were all uncertain about what the future held, but for now, they had each other. And that was enough to ease the weight in their hearts. Tui's mind raced with questions that she hadn't been able to ask before, and some that she wasn't sure if she was ready to ask now. What had happened to Toan? Why couldn't he remember anything? Was it just the trauma of the accident? Or was there something more buried in the past that had caused this amnesia? She had been so focused on making sure Toan was physically safe that she hadn't had the courage to confront the deeper issues. Looking at Toan, now his face filled with uncertainty, a part of her wanted to shield him from the truth forever. She wanted to protect him from the pain of their past, the family secrets, the betrayals that had led them all here. But she knew that wasn't the way forward. To help him recover, she had to face the truth no matter how difficult it might be. The soft sound of Toan's voice broke her thoughts. "Toan," she said quietly, "there's something I think you should know." He turned his gaze to her, his eyes still searching for something familiar, something he could grasp. His expression was a mix of fear and curiosity. "You don't have to say anything if you're not ready," Tui added quickly. "But I think you need to understand that we're all going to face the past, no matter how hard it is. It's part of healing." Toan nodded slowly, though his confusion was still evident. "I don't remember, Tui. I feel like everything is just empty. I want to remember, but I can't. I don't even know who I am sometimes." Her heart ached as she saw the depth of his vulnerability. Toan had always been strong, the one who protected others, the one who faced every challenge with unwavering resolve. To see him so lost, so fragile, it was a weight Tui hadn't expected to bear. Lytudiem reached over and gently squeezed Tui's hand, as though silently assuring her that they would take this journey together. She leaned forward, her voice calm and steady. "Toan, it's okay to feel lost," Lytudiem said, her voice carrying a warmth that seemed to wrap around him like a protective shield. "You don't need to have all the answers right now. We'll be here for you no matter what. Step by step, we'll help you remember, and we'll be patient. There's no rush." Toan looked at her, his expression softening. He hadn't known Lytudiem for long, but there was something about her, something about the way she looked at him that made him feel safe. Maybe it was the way she wasn't trying to force him to remember, but instead just promised to be by his side. It was exactly what he needed, and it gave him a sense of hope, however small it might be. Tui could see the change in him. For the first time since she had arrived, Toan seemed to relax a little. It wasn't much, but it was a start. She leaned back in her chair, the weight of the situation still hanging heavily in the air. But now there was a flicker of hope, a glimmer that perhaps in time things could be set right. "I know it's hard," Tui said, her voice breaking the silence again. "I know you feel lost, but you're not alone, Toan. We're your family. We're here to help you find your way, no matter how long it takes. Toan didn't respond right away, but his eyes softened as he looked at both women. Lytudiem, who had stayed by his side without question, and Thui, who had never given up on him, even when the situation seemed impossible. I don't remember much about the past, Toan said quietly, but I feel like there's something important that I'm missing. I don't know what it is, but I feel it here. He placed a hand over his chest, where his heart beat steadily. And I know I want to find it again. The sincerity in his voice was undeniable, and it struck both Thui and Lytudiem deeply. It was a small step forward, but it was progress. A part of Toan was beginning to remember not just the events, but the emotions, the connections. His heart, even if it couldn't recall specific moments, was starting to understand the importance of family, the love that bound them all together. Lytudiem smiled softly, her eyes filled with warmth and affection. You're already on the right path, Toan. Remembering might take time, but the love we share, that's something you don't need to forget. It's always been there, and it always will be. Thui nodded, agreeing with every word. We'll help you rebuild your memories step by step. It's not about rushing, it's about being here for each other. The room felt warmer now, despite the uncertainty still lingering in the air. The three of them, sitting together, didn't need to speak much more. They knew that the journey ahead would be difficult, that there would be moments of doubt, moments of pain, but they also knew they would face it all together. As the light from the oil lamp flickered gently, casting soft shadows across the room, Toan felt a quiet sense of peace settling over him. It wasn't the peace of having all the answers, but it was the peace of knowing that for the first time in a long while, he wasn't alone. And in that moment, surrounded by the people who cared for him, Toan realized that no matter how much of his past had been lost, the future was still something worth fighting for.